I heard in there mistrial, but I want to make sure I understand your request for relief and what it is.
This is alarming, to say the least. Um,
Okay, let's revisit this. I'm sure that you guys have seen this before. I know I have. I just haven't looked at it in a really long time. So let's just take a look real quick here, and we'll read this infamous Reddit post. It says this was posted by anonymous Brooks Juror 19. Anonymous Brooks Juror. That's what it says. I am a member of the jury on this case. Here are my thoughts on the trial and on this subreddit. Like anybody that's gonna be, that's what's so funny about it. It's like if let's say there was a juror that wanted to just kind of get something out of their system and type something into a a random thing, they wouldn't have they wouldn't have said anything like they're a, I don't know. It just y'all know what I mean. It's just so stupid. Okay. So, to start with, I obviously shouldn't be here. I'm not allowed to look stuff up about this trial or really have any connection with the internet, but nobody actually follows sequestering rules anyway. Hence, I am obviously posting anonymously. Accidentally wandered into here a few days ago from the subreddit drama thread on on my main Reddit account. Here is my opinion on the trial. The second thing I want to point out is that, and this is, I don't know, I just don't think a lot of people look at Reddit. Like I don't think a lot of people, unless you're already into crime stuff, you're not on Reddit. I don't think. Am I wrong? First off, I think it's pretty obvious due to chain of custody that the defendant is in fact Mr. Brooks and he did do it. However, I've had throughout this trial doubts about various aspects of this case. The judge is clearly biased against Mr. Brooks. I got that feeling from when we were in the room, and my eyes have opened to to how she acted towards him when the jury was out of the room. Well, how would you know? How would you know if you weren't in the room? Clearly, she is not an impartial judge, and has been trying to belittle, demean, bully, and pull procedural tricks on him fairly frequently. I had my doubts already, but the subreddit has shown it to me clearly. Y'all, this is so stupid. All right, hang on. All right, I got this off of Mashable. It says I need to credit Mashable screenshot via Reddit archives. Okay. Secondly, Mr. Brooks has clearly not been given the chance to plead his case in front of court. He has been silenced and mocked at every turn. While he may be a bit loud or crass at times, I still believe his side deserves to be heard. Now, I do have significant doubts about subject matter jurisdiction. I didn't understand it when discussed in court because the defendant was repeatedly silenced. But I do understand now, thanks to this sub, and I agree that subject matter jurisdiction is a great concern here. This subreddit has made me aware of jury nullification, and I am very grateful for that. Overall, I'm not sure what I will decide. I'm not educated in law, and I have to admit I'm biased against the defendant for the horrible acts he did. However, it is also clear that this trial is a complete kangaroo court. Mr. Brooks has not been allowed to try and prove his innocence, subject matter jurisdiction, or explain the circumstances surrounding the event. It's hard to imagine what could justify it, but we just can't know because of this trial. For these reasons, I'm torn between locking him up and throwing away the key or jury nullification. Both have arguments for and against them, and I'm not looking forward to choosing because Brooks has grasped his heart, y'all. I am mostly writing this to help myself process my thoughts on this, but please let me know what you think. This is the biggest pack of bull maloney. No, okay, I'm not saying Brooks was behind this because we don't know if he was or not. He may not have been. He may not have been behind it, y'all. Darnisha. But I do think that whoever did this did have intentions of screwing with the trial, obviously. It could have been somebody that was just stupid and putting something out there like, like toying with like a game or something. Maybe somebody was doing it to be funny. They thought it was funny and it took off into its own little thing. I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like number one, I don't think Brooks did it because I don't think he's smart enough. Okay, first of all. Secondly, if someone did it for him, a lot of people were saying it was Jay Prince or whatever that dude's name is. I don't know. I don't know. Could it have been someone related to his mom, like his mom's boyfriend? I don't even, a lot of people keep talking about Dawn's boyfriend. I've never seen him mentioned anywhere. So I don't know where everybody's getting that from. So to say that it was somebody that knew him, I really believe that it was somebody making a joke out of this trial because it's so crazy. Like, it's so ridiculous that they were like, this was a humorous, I'm going to post this like I'm a juror. And little Darnisha got his panties in a wad. Okay, so let's go back to what they're talking about in court about this.
Provided to me, which was an email, and then the attachment, which is a color print off. Looks like the person took a screenshot, and that the anonymous post claimed to be a member of the jury on the case, and here are my thoughts on the trial and on this subreddit. And apparently, again, it's a subreddit called Justice for Darrell. All those Justice, the number 4, and Darrell, all no spaces. I then had contact with Captain Dussault, advised him that this should be investigated, and basically turned over the matter to law enforcement for a full investigation. At that point, I made a determination based upon my review of the information that I would not stop what was happening in terms of the trial with the instructions to the jury and ultimately the closing arguments, and then turning the case over to the jury for deliberations. And of course, I am concerned about the integrity of these proceedings, and I will take whatever action that I deem appropriate once a full investigation is done. But at this point, there is no, I would say, credible information that this is in fact a member of the jury. But I will leave that for law enforcement to determine. And of course, if need be, at the conclusion of the case, when the jury reaches a verdict, I certainly will consider whether any questioning of the jurors at that point is warranted. So that's the information I wanted to provide. Again, copies of this information will be provided to the parties, and there is a full investigation underway by the Sheriff's Department. I have no further information about it at this time. I will not be the judge that will further be reviewing it in terms of any requests related to that investigation. I will simply be handling whether any requests as relates to this case in particular.
Oh, he's not going to be happy at all with
the
that.
Copies for the parties.
Your
And we'll
Honor,
provide those. Go ahead.
Your Honor.
I'm making sure you was
Go ahead.
first. What is this?
All I can tell you, sir, is that there is apparently on the internet, on a site, or maybe it's an application, I'm not entirely sure, called Reddit, there's a subreddit that is entitled Justice for Darrell, and it was on that subreddit that someone wrote an anonymous post claiming to be one of the jurors. That, of course, would be a violation of the rules that I set up for the jurors, which is why I turned over the information to law enforcement so they could make a full and complete investigation.
For the record, I accept for value and return for value these documents. I'm confused.
At this point, sir, I'm providing the information. I trust that the parties will review it, and if a party believes that any request needs to be made of this court, then an appropriate request will be made. But at this point, I'm just advising the parties of the information that I have. And I will add this. I will, of course, it's important that the results of any investigation be turned over to the parties. I don't know how long that will take, but that is also my direction. That was really the only direction I gave to law enforcement, is that the results of the investigation that be turned over to the parties.
Was this? Oh, I'm sorry. Was this just found out about this morning?
Yes, the email that was sent to the clerk of court was received at 9:10 a.m. And then that email and the attachment, I'm aware of a second email that was sent to our clerk of court at 10:02 a.m. And I think when we stepped off the bench following the case being given to the jury, I was advised that other emails had been received throughout the court system. And I simply said, obviously, that information needs to go to law enforcement. I haven't seen it, haven't reviewed it. But any person who works in the clerk of court's office who has received an email, that email about this topic will be forwarded to the sheriff's department. Their forensic unit is handling the investigation, to my understanding. Attorney Upper, did you have a question or something to state?
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to state for the record that I have also received similar emails at my office this afternoon. They were sent not to me directly, but to the district attorney's office website. And I only wanted to point out that in viewing the contents of the posting, well, first of all the emails refer to the exact same posting and the language is the exact same in all the postings. In viewing the contents of the posting, we question the veracity of the posting because it refers to things that, quite frankly, are not true. And also, upon reviewing it, Your Honor, we came to the conclusion that it does not exhibit any material prejudice against Darrell Brooks that may affect the veracity of any verdict that may be returned in this case. The posting is largely critical of the court and to some extent the prosecution, but the nature of the posting is actually in support of Mr. Brooks. That's why it's under a subreddit called Justice for Darrell. And I don't believe there's any reasonable reading of this post that would lead someone to believe that it suggests the juror harbors substantial or material prejudice against the defendant.
Thank you. I appreciate the additional record.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Oh, Lord. What?
Just briefly skimming through it. I do want to state for the record that I have no involvement with this. I'm really like shocked like this even came to light.
Did you say chocolates? Shock him.
I will say
Perplexed.
just by skimming through it, these are definitely things that have been talked about in the court. So common sense would say that this came from someone that has either been in the court to hear what goes on in the court, or a jury member. It's no other way.
Well, actually,
Because
the proceedings are live streamed worldwide, Your Honor, available on YouTube worldwide, so I don't agree with that assessment.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious that this would come from somebody who's actually, I think it's pretty clear.
Well, I'm leaving it in the hands of law enforcement to do a full and complete investigation.
It's pretty clear, y'all. Oh, shoot.
Extremely concerned about this.
Extremely.
If anything, for cautionary reasons, I believe, Your Honor, that you definitely should take a look at everything I'm saying here in these case laws and
I wish that was her
What's the
typing.
request, though, that you're making
We know it's Leslie, though.
based upon the case
Probably
law
from
that you
Zach.
cite. I heard in there mistrial, but I want to make sure I understand your request for relief and what it is.
you say request for
Relief. Like,
relief.
what are you asking me to do based upon the information that the limited information we have about the Reddit post and this trial?
I guess my request would be, because of the concern of this, to look at a mistrial, or at the very least a discharge of the jury at this time, so this can be resolved. This is alarming, to say the least. This post, and I don't know what Reddit is, to be honest. I've never heard of it or used it, so I don't know the extent of. It's almost like this could be like a snowball type of thing. It can start with something that's this small, and then it can snowball out of control into something totally different.
It sure could. It sure could.
I don't know the extent of this website.
This is just powerful.
I don't know who. Well, I think the name of the person who sent the who alerted the clerk, of course, to this post. I think his name is in the email. But then that even begs the question of, how did this person come across this site? What is their significance to this? What is their role in this? It's just so many questions, and
So many
I mean, clearly this points at the court's integrity. It points at your integrity, Your Honor. It's alarming.
Alarming.
It's very alarming.
Somebody gave him that
And
word.
if there's a chance that there can be hidden bias in this jury, it needs to be addressed now rather than later. This is very concerning.
I want to see what the prosecution's doing right now. I want to look at that table, shaking their head.
Well, thank you for bringing up your concerns. Let me turn to the state if they want to respond, and then see what other issues they want to cover this morning.
Judge, the original post was on a subreddit thread called Justice for Darrell. That's the copy that the defendant has in front of him. That post was edited last night, claiming that it was a prank from the start, and that the original poster didn't think it would get that far out of hand.
See, I told y'all.
The way that Reddit works, the only person who can modify the content of the original post is the original poster, and because the jurors have no access to any electronic devices, I think it's safe to say that our 12 jurors back there are not the original poster. So I think that puts that issue pretty much to bed. It's still obviously under investigation because the court takes it so seriously, but there really is no actionable or any real reason why we should doubt the jury's being unbiased in this case.
I object to that on the grounds, Your Honor, that, like you just stated, it's an investigation going on. And if there's investigation, then that clearly says that something is amiss. We have 15. We have 15 jurors. There's still too many questions that we don't know. Too many. I don't think anything's put to bed because we don't know. It's unfair to say that the issue is put to bed when there's still so many questions left out there. I'm sure you reviewed it yourself, Your Honor. You see the language in this, whatever this thread. I don't know. I don't know what this is. It's clearly a post from somebody who has intimate knowledge of the trial and what's going on in the trial.
They've been watching long
I don't
drive.
think.
Oh Lord.
I mean, common sense would tell you that this is someone who's very close to the case, whether they were intending to be funny, whether they were intending to try to prank the court or anything like that. We don't know. That could be anybody's guess. The language in this, the way that it's formatted, they lay out 4 specific points of what they think. They point to certain language in the case.
If only they would have misspelled biased.
They make references to saying when we were in the room. They got certain feelings from when they specifically refer to themselves and a group. That would be we, plural. They say, and I have to admit, I am biased against the defendant for the horrible acts he did. And they attack you, Your Honor. They clearly attack you. This is if this is someone's idea of fun, is anybody's guess, but I don't believe that it is, clearly by the way it's formatted and by the language that is in it. This is clearly someone with intimate knowledge of the case and what's going on. Clearly.
They clearly watch long
There's
time.
no other way to interpret this. You can tell by what they're laying out in the language that they're speaking with, that this is clearly someone close to the case. And because of that, it still has to be, I'm informed of the investigation, but there's still too many questions left in the air just from this. How can we put to bed when there's still an investigation?
He is just so
For all we know, what if this turns up that it was someone on the jury, or what if it turns out that more people are involved in it than just whoever this anonymous person was who left the post? It's too many questions and it's too concerning. What if something like this springs up again at the last minute? We've been going through the trial now for basically 3 weeks, the better part of 3 weeks. And even in court dates leading up to the trial, we've never had anything like this happen. Nothing like this has been brought to your attention. Nothing like this has been brought before the court's attention. This just came out of the blue, and now all of a sudden it's being labeled a prank. Is that because they were found out?
It's just horrible.
I mean, it begs so many questions. It's too uncertain. It's too concerning, and it's too alarming. It's too alarming to just overlook and say, "Oh well, we'll just set it to the side and let them." No, this there has to be some type of alternatives, and something has to be done. Something, and if that's a mistrial, if that's discharging a jury, if that's some other type of alternatives that can be looked at, I'm sure that these case law speaks to other options that could come into play, they deserve to at least be looked at.
The jury needs to know, Your Honor,
If anything, to protect the integrity of the trial.
if anything else.
I find it very hard to believe that this close to the trial being over, and all of a sudden these issues are being raised.
The
So
integrity-
this is obviously not a prank, and it's obvious that this is someone with intimate knowledge. It's very clear to me.
It's very clear. Oh my word. Okay. Oh, I love Zach and I love Sue and I love Leslie and I just can't help it. All right. With all due respect, Your Honor, I hope y'all really enjoyed that because we needed to get that one out this week. Ooh. Y'all have a great week. I love you guys.